Hello, welcome back to Paint by Blunders, a video free. We are looking at the Cities of Sigmar Cavalier. I won't bore you with too much. This is done in Gracia Primer, and we're going to crack on straight away with all the metallics, and there is quite a few of them. It's quite an overwhelming model to look at, but let's have some fun with it. So, first up, dark aluminium, the Vallejo metal colour. Essentially, I haven't bothered to go get some lead belcher yet, and this stuff works great. Using a size 2 brush, use the biggest you can basically comfortably use because it just makes it easier because the brush holds more paint. Now, I absolutely love this paint. It flows so well, but you have to shake it like a madman, and I don't know if anyone else uses these paints, but they seem to separate quite a lot, and that really bugs me. Also, when you shut the lid, it likes to spit at you, which is very handy if you're painting in a white t-shirt. Obviously, we're just trying to be careful not to hit the horse's skin, fur, whatever you want to call it, as we're going around doing this, just because where we're doing a light whitey grey horse, it just makes it a much bigger pain to clean up afterwards. But if you hit it, you hit it. Just go back in with the Gracia base and just touch it in. But yeah, try and be careful with this bit. And now that the silver's all down, we're going to come in and pick out the gold sections with a Retributor armour. Now there are a few tricky places to get the gold. Round his face there's like this stag mask, that's something to look out for. But well worth it. And I absolutely love those little gargoyle motifs on the armour. And that is the gold done. Next up, we're going to start tackling the straps, anything brown, woody. And we are going to use Wildwood contrast paint, because on this, it is going to save my sanity and hopefully yours. And the one piece of advice I would give on doing this Wildwood section is don't worry about just flipping the model round, trying to find the most comfortable angle to get the brush in and get the paint on. Because honestly, if the camera was spun round and you could see how I was painting this, I look like Gollum. I'm just hunched over, just trying to get in any way I can. Just a quick one now, that's all done. I'm going to come in and do the horse tootsies with Black Legion. And I picked up Black Templar, that is a mistake. And I do switch it out, but I do that off camera. And also do his little sword grip as well in Black Legion. So we're going to go for another easy win now, which is like the saddle cushions, tassels, a little bit of the flag, the horns on the helmet, the skull at the front. We're going to use Skeleton Horde, one of the contrast paints, straight out the tub. One of the nice things about this, and some of the contrast paints when you work them like this, where we're going from that Skeleton Horde creamy tone and it's meeting the Wildwood, it doesn't matter if you splash it onto the Wildwood. You're not going to notice it. It's not really going to change the tone too much of the Wildwood. On to a little bit of shading. Black wash by Pro Acryl and a size 2 brush just to hold more of the wash. And we're just going to go over all of the silver parts. Now that the black wash is all dry, we're going to quickly go back in over all the gold with Reichland Flesh Shade. Again with the size 2. And we're just going to go over all that and give it a nice reddy tone. So we're going to start moving on to the horse now. A quick basilicanum grey contrast over the tail, and then we're going to start going on to the main body of the horse, soul blight grey, and we're just going to apply this quite liberally all over the horse. Just making sure, trying to drag the brush and pulling away where we want the most amount of contrast to sit. And that'll just really help with all the highlights around these legs and shins and whatnot. So with the white all done, we're going to come in and start looking at the green fabric sections. And for this, I'm using Lauren Forest.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Ah yes, so the green. I hated the way it looked, so I thought I have to change it. I did it on a test model, I thought it looked great. I did it on this horse, rubbish. So, Cabalite green, let's see if we can rescue this. As it's turned into a bit of a mare, I can guarantee you one terrible joke per video. I mean, the channel's called Paint by Blunders, so I think I've nailed it on this one. And personally, I think this green looks so much nicer. A bit more emerald. So there we are, much better in my opinion. And we're going to go over that in a green shade. And I did just want to say a quick thank you to everyone who watched the last video, and I hope you get something out of this video as well. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed, give us a sub, whack a thumbs up if you like it. Even if you don't, whack a thumbs down. I mean, it helps me know what's good and what's cack. And as we're going around with this shade, we're just, pooling it where we want to pool it, but not too heavy, because we're going to come back and highlight this later. So, with the green shade dry, this to me is battle ready, will look fine on the tabletop, and if I was getting ready for a tournament or just wanted to bash out an army fast, I might leave it here with maybe a couple of dry brushes on top, but I'm going to take it a little bit further. So let's get it. So just quickly, I'm going to bring up the base layer colour of all the green again, just avoiding the recesses. So with that done, I mean, my camera doesn't quite catch it, but it just makes it pop a little bit more. We're going to go Sybarite green to do some edging on the green and the highest folds. Looking for a nice smooth consistency in our paint that comes off the brush very easy. With some of these sharp edges, side of the brush works an absolute treat here. With that done, we're going to do a quick highlight of all the creamy sections with Screaming Skull. So as we're going round, just trying to not go into the deepest recesses, just because leaving where that nice skeleton horde contrast is sitting. The bit of footage I didn't get, because like I said earlier, sometimes I sit like Gollum when I paint, is the antlers on his helmet. So the best thing to do with them is just that edge highlighting again with the side of the brush and just follow. There's some really nice like sharp angles that you can quite nicely run the brush along and it'll highlight them nicely. So we are going to now look at dry brushing the horse just to pick it out a bit. For the body of the horse, we're going to use Grey Sear, which is the base coat that we sprayed in, darkened it down with a little bit of contrast, so we're going to bring it back up. And the tail, we will use Administratum Grey. So when we're dry brushing, obviously very little paint on the brush, and you're trying to move the brush over the details that are raised that you want to just clip. So we're looking at the shins, any of the knuckles, anything raised like that, just inside on the thighs. There's some good like muscle curves that catch the paint quite nicely, and that is what we're going for. I'm using like a smallish dry brush. It was just a cheap set off Amazon that is not quite the artist opus ones because I can't afford those at the minute, but it works okay. I mean, I've done loads of dry brushing before with very cheap makeup brushes, old brushes that are just getting a bit haggard. You've got options. I'm then going to come in with the Pro Acrylic Bold Titanium White, just for very light dry brush, just to highlight it some more. And I'm even going to try and just pick out some highlights on the neck of the horse as well, just because the dry brush doesn't quite get there. And even where I've dry brushed on the legs, I'm going to just try and define some of those lines a little bit more. Silver highlights up next, and we are going to use Storm Host Silver to do these. And all we're going to do is try and pick out the edges of some of the armour and just underline some of the bits of the armour just to make it pop a bit more, really. One of the things I did notice is I did the buckles and such on some of the straps in silver when I started the model, when I did all the metallics. When I went over it with Wildwood, they essentially got lost. So I would say, don't worry too much, they will get lost in the Wildwood, but you can pick them out at this stage, and it looks great. So with that silver highlighted up, we're going to start highlighting the Retributor armor now. We're going to go in with Liberator Gold and just give that a little highlight. And we're just going in, trying to get it nice and close to the recesses, but not too deep that we lose that nice reddy shade. I'm putting this on quite thin because I still want a lot of that Retributor armor to show through underneath. So with the gold highlighted, we're going to do like a final, very bright edge highlight of Gorse Blaster Green. I thinned it down a little bit just to, one, help it flow a bit easier and just to knock back that transparency a bit because it is quite a stark highlight, but I think it works really well. So with that done, I'm going to say the green is complete for us. Baneblade Brown now, and I do add in just a touch of the Wildwood to make it slightly darker, just to highlight our wood areas. And we're not doing anything massive on this, we're just picking out a few high edges or sharp points just to make it stand out really from the background, not look so flat. And that is pretty much him done. The basing needs doing, which I'll do off camera. Obviously base however your army looks. I did throw in some Darko flesh just on his face, and that was easy enough, which you can highlight up, but I will cut to the shield. So the shield is done the same as all the other steps in this video. The only thing different is it's got this little laurel attached to it, and I used Elysium Green, took it in with the green shade, and then highlighted it back up with the same Elysium Green. No fuss, pretty simple, and then just left it like that. And that is him done, and that is it for the video. Thank you very much for giving us a watch. Do give us a thumbs up, and please do consider subscribing, and I will get the next video hopefully by the end of this week.